The Grand Chamber of Concordia Prime fell silent as Ambassador Sarah Chen was led to the center platform. The circular room stretched 500 meters across, with representatives from over 200 species watching from their designated sections. Above them, holographic displays showed the proceedings to trillions of beings across the galaxy. Sarah walked with her head held high. Her hands were bound behind her back with energy cuffs that hummed softly. She wore her formal Earth diplomatic uniforma, simple navy blue suit with the United Earth insignia over her heart. Her black hair was pulled back in a neat bun, and despite 3 days of detention, her eyes remained sharp and defiant. The 3 high judges sat on elevated thrones at the chamber's far end. Judge Shekthar of the Vrex clicked his mandibles together, his massive insectoid body gleaming under the lights. To his left, Judge Luminara hovered in her crystalline form, light refracting through her transparent body in cold colors. On the right, Judge Krelenov's large head pulsed with telepathic energy, his gray skin wrinkled with age. Ambassador Sarachin of Earth Shikthar's voice echoed through translation devices. "You have been found guilty of crimes against galactic order. You refused the Council's lawful demand to surrender your species faster than light technology. You rejected our protective oversight. You spoke words of rebellion that endangered the peace we have maintained for 10,000 years." Sarah's jaw tightened, but she said nothing yet. Luminara's voice chimed like bells. "The Council does not make these decisions lightly. Humanity is young. Only 80 years since your first radio signals reached beyond your system. You discovered FTL travel only 15 years ago. Such rapid advancement is dangerous without proper guidance." "Guidance?" Sarah finally spoke, her voice steady and clear. "Is that what you call it when you demanded we hand over our technology? When you told us that humans could never be full members of this council? When you said we must accept observers in our government, our military, our research facilities?" Silence. Krelenov's telepathic command pressed against every mind in the chamber. Several minor species representatives flinched. Sarah stumbled, but remained standing. "You speak out of turn, primitive. Your species has existed for mere moments in galactic time. The Verks, Luminians, and Krell have guided this galaxy for millennia. We determine what is safe. We determine what is just." Sarah laughed, a sharp, bitter sound that surprised the chamber. "Safe? Just? I've read your histories. I know what happened to the Thaurians when they refused your guidance. An entire species gone. I know about the Morothi, who discovered FTL on their own and rejected council oversight. Their homeworld is now a quarantine zone. How many others? How many species have you crushed to maintain your control?" Murmurs rippled through the minor species sections. Security drones moved closer to those areas. Shikthar's mandibles clacked angrily. Those species threatened galactic stability. They refused wisdom. They paid the price for their arrogance as you will now. Earth will not submit, Sarah said firmly. Humanity will not kneel. We offered friendship, partnership, and cooperation. We came to this council with open hands. You responded with threats and demands. You tried to treat us like children who needed to be controlled. But we're not children, and we won't be slaves. Then you are a threat, Luminara said, her colors shifting to harsh reds. The council has voted. The sentence is death. Let it be known across the galaxy, this is the fate of those who defy the natural order. Sarah looked directly into the nearest camera drone. She knew this was being broadcast everywhere. She thought of her sister Lisa back on Earth, of her nephew who wanted to be an explorer, of the billions of humans who believed in a better future among the stars. To anyone watching this, Sarah said loudly, remember this moment. Remember that the Galactic Council murdered an unarmed diplomat for the crime of refusing to surrender her people's freedom. Remember that they killed me not because I was a threat, but because humanity dared to stand as their equal. Her eyes finding representatives of the smaller species, the Fenric, the Solari, the Mishka, and dozens of others who had lived under council control for centuries. And to my people back home, Sarah continued, her voice strong, don't mourn me. Don't let them make you afraid. You have every right to walk among the stars as free beings. Whatever happens next, stand tall. Stand together, and never, ever let them break you. Enough, Shaikthar commanded. Execute the sentence. The Rex enforcer stepped forward, raising a plasma weapon. The energy built up wind in the silence. Sarah closed her eyes for just a moment, thinking of Earths of blue oceans and green forests, of cities and farms, of all the humans who would see this moment and would have to decide what came next. She opened her eyes and stared directly at the high judges. "You have no idea what you've just done," she said. The plasma blast was instant. Sarah Chen, humanity's first ambassador to the Galactic Council, died standing up. The chamber fell silent. Then Shaikthar's voice rang out. "Let this be a lesson. The Council's word is absolute. Compliance is not optional. Any species that follows Earth's path will face the same justice." The broadcast ended. What the Council didn't know was that Earth had been watching. Every government, every military leader, every citizen saw Sarah Chen's execution. In that moment, 8 billion humans stopped being divided nations and became one unified species with a single purpose. The Council thought they had made an example. They had made a terrible mistake in the Kuiper Belt. Far beyond Neptune, encrypted signals began transmitting. Hidden bases powered up. Secret shipyards activated their docks. And Admiral Marcus Webb, commander of Earth's Shadow Fleet, gave the order humanity had hoped they'd never need to give. Protocol Omega is now active. All units, prepare for war. Galaxy Council executes human envoy. Initiates total retaliation. Part 2. The Shadow Fleet, Admiral Marcus. Webb stood in the command center of the UESS Retribution, his face illuminated by dozens of holographic displays. The space station hung in the darkness of the Kuiper Belt, invisible to Council sensors, just as it had been for the past 15 years. All stations reporting ready, Admiral Commander Park said from her station. "The fleet awaits your command." Marcus looked at the main screen showing Sarah Chen's final moments, played on repeat across every news network in human space. He had known Sarah personally. She had been his daughter's teacher before becoming a diplomat. Watching her die had ignited something in him that he'd kept buried for years. Pure, cold rage. "How many ships do we have operational?" Marcus asked. 3,412 warships across all classes, Park replied. "Another 800 support vessels. All crews are at battle stations." Marcus allowed himself a small smile. The Council thought humanity had maybe 200 outdated vessels. They had no idea it had started 16 years ago, shortly after first contact. The United Earth government had sent peaceful delegations to meet the Galactic Council. But Earth's intelligence services had done their homework. They had hacked Council databases, studied their history, and discovered a dark pattern. Every species that achieved FTL independently either submitted to Council control or disappeared. The president at the time, Mara Okonkwo, had made a difficult decision. She authorized Project Shadow, a secret military buildup hidden from the Council's eyes. Shipyards were constructed in the outer solar system, disguised as mining operations. Weapons research happened in facilities buried deep in asteroids. Humanity's best scientists worked on technology the Council had never seen before. "Begin the activation sequence," Marcus ordered. "Send the recall signal to all operatives." Across human space, things began moving. On Mars, underground hangars opened, revealing sleek destroyers. In the asteroid belt, dozens of carriers powered up their engines. Near Saturn, a massive dreadnought, the U.S. Vengeance uncloaked. Its weapon systems coming online. But the fleet was only part of the plan. Status on Operation Whisper. Marcus asked Lieutenant Chu no relation to Sarah, though the coincidence wasn't lost on anyone pulled up a star map. "We've made contact with 47 minor species that have expressed interest in alliance. The Fenric are ready to provide intelligence on Council fleet movements. The Solari have offered their shipyards. The Mishka want to join our fleet with their own vessels." For years, human diplomats had been secretly meeting with species oppressed by the Council. They had offered something the Council never did: respect, partnership, and the promise of freedom. Now, those relationships were about to pay off. What about the package we sent to the Council homeworlds? Marcus asked. Commander Park grinned. Delivered successfully, sir. Every major Council planet now has our message waiting to be broadcast. One word from us, and their own populations will see the truth about their governments. The package was humanity's insurance policy hacked files from Council databases showing thousands of years of oppression, genocide, and lies. Evidence of species wiped out for refusing to submit. Records of resources stolen from minor species. Communications showing the Council leaders had always known about humanity's fleet but chose to ignore it, believing humans were too primitive to be a real threat. Admiral, a new voice called out. It was Dr. Yuki Tanaka, head of Earth's Weapons Research Division. She appeared on a screen, calling from a lab deep inside Ganymede. I have an update on Project Ghost. Go ahead, Doctor. We've successfully integrated the Phantom Drive into all our warships. Council sensors won't be able to track us using their standard detection methods. To them, our ships will appear and disappear like ghosts. Marcus nodded. The Phantom Drive was humanity's greatest achievement. An engine system that bent the laws of physics in ways the Council's technology couldn't detect. It wasn't faster than Council ships, but it was invisible to their sensors until it was too late. There's more, Dr. Tanaka continued. We've also completed the Neural Disruptor. It's a weapon specifically designed to counter the Krell's telepathic abilities. Field tests show it can scramble their mental communications without permanent harm to other species. Excellent work, Doctor. Begin deployment to all vessels. Marcus walked to the observation window. Outside, he could see hundreds of warships in formation. Their hulls painted in light-absorbing black, their weapons charged and ready. Each ship was crewed by volunteers who had seen Sarah's execution and demanded to be part of humanity's response. Sir, we're receiving a transmission from Earth, Park said. It's the President. President Chenwei appeared on the screen. He looked 10 years older than he had 3 days ago. Sarah Chen had been his cousin. Admiral Webb, the President said, his voice heavy with emotion. The Security Council has voted unanimously. You are authorized to proceed with Protocol Omega. However, I want to be clear about our objectives. This is not a war of conquest. This is not genocide. We will destroy Council military assets. We will liberate oppressed species. We will ensure Sarah's death means something. But we will not become the monsters they think we are. Understood, Mr. President, Marcus replied. We'll make them regret what they did, but we'll do it with honor. One more thing, the President said. Sarah's sister, Dr. Lisa Chen, has volunteered to serve as a combat medic with the fleet. I couldn't stop her. Marcus felt his throat tighten. The entire Chen family was willing to sacrifice everything for this cause. I'll make sure she's assigned to the Retribution, Marcus said. She'll be safe here. The President nodded and ended the transmission. Marcus turned to his crew. Every face showed determination mixed with sadness. They all knew what was coming. This wouldn't be easy. People would die. But Sarah's execution had crossed a line that couldn't be uncrossed. All hands, this is Admiral Webb, he announced shipwide. In approximately 30 minutes, we will begin our first strike against Council military targets. We didn't want this war. We came to the galaxy offering friendship and got murder in return. Ambassador Sarah Chen died standing up for every human's right to be free. Now we'll show the galaxy what happens when you kill our innocent. He paused, looking at the stars outside. We're not doing this for revenge. We're doing this so no other species has to watch their ambassadors die for refusing to be slaves. We're doing this so the galaxy can finally be free. Today, we stop being victims. Today, we become liberators. Across the fleet, crews cheered. Engines roared to life. Weapon systems armed themselves. The Shadow Fleet, hidden for 15 years, finally emerged from the darkness. And the Galactic Council was about to learn that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their technology, it was their absolute refusal to stay down when knocked to the ground. All ships, Marcus commanded. Jump to attack positions. Let's begin. Galaxy Council executes. Human Envoy Earth initiates total retaliation. ##. Part 3. The first strike commander Zector of the Verk's Third Fleet was having what he considered a routine day. His battle group, 12 heavy cruisers and 30 escort vessels, patrolled the Helios sector, a quiet region that hadn't seen combat in 3 centuries. It was a position given to officers who were essentially retired. But still drawing pay, he was reviewing supply reports when his sensor officer suddenly chittered in alarm. "Commander, unknown contacts emerging from FTL. 12. No, 15. 30 vessels. They're everywhere." "What?" Zector's mandibles clicked in confusion. "Identify them." "Signatures are strange, sir. They match no known configuration." "Wait, I'm receiving a transmission. It's humans." Before Zector could respond, every screen in the command center changed. The image of Sarah Chen appeared, showing her final moments before the council. Then her execution. Then a message in perfect Vrex language: "This is your justice. Here is ours. Battle stations." Zector screamed. But it was already too late. The human ships attacked with precision that shocked the veteran commander. Missiles appeared from nowhere, their signatures invisible until they were seconds from impact. Energy weapons fired from angles that should have been impossible, and the human ships moved in ways that defied standard tactical doctrinaritic, unpredictable, as if each captain was making their own decisions rather than following a central command. "Return fire," Zector ordered, but his gunners couldn't get a lock. The human vessels flickered in and out of sensor range like ghosts. Human destroyer smaller than his cruisers suddenly appeared directly above his flagship. It released a swarm of what looked like debris. Zector almost laughed at the primitive tactic until the debris exploded into hundreds of smaller drones, each carrying plasma charges. The resulting cascade of explosions tore through his flagship shields. Alarm screamed as hull breaches opened across 3 decks. "They're not fighting like any military I've seen," his tactical officer shouted. "There's no pattern, no formation. They're using everything: kamikaze drones, hacking attacks, even ramming." Across the sector, similar scenes played out. Human fleets struck 12 Council military outposts simultaneously. Each attack was different, adapted to the specific target, using tactics that seemed insane to species who had fought the same way for thousands of years. At Outpost Game 7, human ships released clouds of nanobots that ate through the station's hull. At Outpost Delta 4, they hacked the automated defense systems and turned them against the defenders. At Outpost Epsilon Nine, they broadcast frequencies that interfered with Krell telepathic communication, leaving the defenders confused and unable to coordinate. Within 2 hours, all 12 outposts were destroyed or captured. The Council had lost over 5,000 vessels and 15,000 personnel, but humanity's losses were also significant: nearly 300 ships destroyed and over 20,000 crew members dead. The difference was that the Council had expected an easy fight. Humanity had expected to pay a price. On Concordia Prime, chaos erupted in the Council chambers. "How is this possible?" Zector demanded, his mandibles trembling with rage. "Our intelligence said humans had barely 200 outdated vessels. Where did this fleet come from?" Judge Luminara's crystalline form pulsed with angry red light. "They've been building in secret for years. They hid their true capabilities from us. The primitives deceived us." "Impossible," Krelinoth's telepathic voice boomed. "No species so young could develop such technology without our knowledge." "And yet they did," a new voice said. Everyone turned to see Ambassador Felinoch of the Fenric, a small mammalian species that the Council considered barely worthy of notice. "You dare speak without permission?" Zector hissed. Felinoch's whiskers twitched in what might have been amusement. "I dare many things now, High Judge, including telling you that my people have been sharing intelligence with the humans for 5 years. We told them about your patrol routes, your weaknesses, your hidden bases." The chamber erupted in shocked voices. "Traitor," Luminara shrieked. "You'll be arrested in what?" Felinoch interrupted. "Executed like Sarah Chen. Go ahead, make another martyr." The humans predicted you would react this way. In fact, they're counting on it. Before anyone could respond, every screen in the chamber flickered. The image of Sarah Chen's execution appeared again. But this time it was followed by something new: files, thousands of them, showing the Council's dark history, records of the Thaurian genocide, communications about destroying the Marathi, evidence of resource theft from dozens of minor species, proof that the Council had always been about control, not guidance. Where did they get this? Zector whispered. Your own databases, a human voice said. The transmission was from Admiral Marcus Webb. Speaking from the bridge of the Retribution.
Hello?
Council, Marcus said, his voice calm and cold. I'm Admiral Webb of the United Earth Space Command. By now, you've seen what happens when you murder our diplomats. This is just the beginning. You attack us with primitive tactics. Zector shouted. You lose ships in every battle. You cannot win. We don't need to win every battle, Marcus replied. We just need to make you bleed enough that your people start asking questions. Like why you executed an unarmed ambassador. Like why you've been oppressing minor species for millennia. Like why you're so afraid of anyone who might challenge your power. We will crush you. Krelinoth's mental voice pressed against every mind in the chamber. The full might of the Council fleet will do what? Marcus interrupted. Hunt us across the galaxy while your economy collapses. Fight us while minor species rebel? We've already made contact with 47 species who want to join us. Every battle you fight against us is another chance for them to break free. Luminara's form shifted to cold blue. What do you want, human? What we wanted from the start, Marcus said. Recognition as equals. Apology for Sarah Chen's murder. And the restructuring of your corrupt council to give every species a fair voice. But I don't think you'll agree to that, will you? Never, Zector spat. Then we'll take it by force, Marcus said simply. We'll free every species you've oppressed. We'll destroy every military asset you have. And we'll broadcast the truth about you across the galaxy. You wanted to make an example of Sarah Chen instead? You created an example of what happens when tyrants go too far. Transmission ended. In the stunned silence that followed, Felinox spoke again. The humans have a saying, you can kill the messenger. But you can't kill the message. Sarah Chen died delivering a message of freedom. Now her people are ensuring that message is heard. He turned to leave the chamber. Where are you going? Zector demanded. To join the rebellion, Felinox said. We're done being your subjects, as he left. Dozens of other minor species ambassadors followed him. The Council's control was beginning to crack. Galaxy Council executes human envoy Earth, initiates total retaliation, Part 4, fractures in the Council 3. Weeks after the first human strikes, the Galactic Council was no longer united. Judge Luminara stood alone in her private chamber aboard Concordia Prime, her crystalline form flickering with uncertainty. For 10,000 years, she had believed in the Council's mission. They maintained order. They prevented chaos. They guided younger species toward civilization. But now, it's watching the holographic displays showing the latest reports. She wasn't sure anymore. On the main screen, a human broadcast played. It showed footage from recently liberated planet species celebrating their freedom, tearing down Council monuments, burning the flags that had represented their oppression for centuries. We didn't come to conquer, Admiral Webb said in the broadcast. We came to liberate. Every species has the right to govern themselves. Every being has the right to live free. The Council taught you that freedom was dangerous. We're here to show you it's worth fighting for. Luminara dimmed her light. She had been one of the 3 judges who voted for Sarah Chen's execution. At the time, it had seemed necessary a firm response to a species that refused to submit. Now, it felt like the moment everything went wrong. Her communication crystal pulsed. It was a secure channel from Judge Zector, Luminara. We must discuss the situation, the vexed judge's voice came through. The humans are winning support. 30 systems have openly rebelled. Our fleets can't be everywhere at once. Perhaps we should negotiate, Luminara suggested carefully. Negotiate? Zector's mandibles clicked angrily. After they've killed thousands of our soldiers? After they've turned half the galaxy against us? No, we double our efforts. We show them the true power of the Council. And if that pushes more species to rebellion, then we remind them why they feared us in the first place. The communication ended abruptly. Luminara dimmed further. The Council was splitting. Zector and Krelinoth wanted total war. But she was beginning to wonder if Sarah Chen had been right. The Council had become the very tyranny it claimed to prevent. On the USS Retribution, Admiral Webb reviewed tactical reports with a grim expression. Yes, they were winning battles. Yes, more species joined their cause every day. But the cost was mounting. Casualties from the Theta Sector engagement. He asked Commander Park. 137 ships lost, sir. Over 8,000 personnel dead or missing. The Council's Fourth Fleet fought harder than expected. Marcus closed his eyes briefly. 8,000 more families receiving death notifications. 8,000 more reasons why this war needed to end quickly. And the good news? He asked. Park allowed herself a small smile. The Luminians have secretly contacted us. Judge Luminara wants to discuss peace terms. One of the three who ordered Sarah's execution wants peace? Marcus's voice was skeptical. She sent proof of her sincerity, sir. Intelligence on Council fleet movements, defense codes for Concordia Prime, and Park paused. A formal apology for Sarah Chen's death. A personal one, from her to humanity. Marcus considered this. Having one of the High Judge's defect would be a massive victory. But could they trust her? What does intelligence say? Dr. Tanaka has analyzed the data. It's legitimate. Luminara is genuine. Set up a meeting, but keep it secret. If Zector and Krelinoth find out, they'll kill her. 2 days later, in a neutral system, a small Luminian ship met with the Retribution. Judge Luminara materialized on the bridge in her holographic form, her crystalline body pulsing with nervous energy. Admiral Webb, she said, her voice chiming softly. Thank you for agreeing to this meeting. Marcus studied her carefully. Why should I trust someone who voted to kill our ambassador? Luminara's colors shifted to deep blue shame in Luminian body language. You shouldn't. I made a terrible mistake. I believed we were protecting the galaxy from a dangerous species. Instead, I helped murder an innocent being who only wanted her people to be treated fairly. Words are easy, Marcus said coldly.
I know.
That's why I brought this. Luminara projected data files into the room. Complete Council military deployments. The locations of all hidden bases. Passwords for our secured communications. And proof of something else, proof that Zector and Krelinoth knew about your fleet years ago, but dismissed it as irrelevant. Marcus straightened. They knew? They didn't think you were a threat. In their arrogance, they believed primitive humans could never challenge the Council, no matter how many ships you built. Sarah's execution was meant to intimidate you into submission. They didn't expect you to fight back. Commander Park pulled up the files Luminara had provided. Her eyes widened. Sir, this is incredible. With this information, we could end the war in weeks instead of months. What do you want in return? Marcus asked Luminara. A chance to make things right, the Luminian judge said quietly. I can't bring Sarah Chen back. But I can help create the galaxy she died trying to build, one where no species rules over others. Marcus was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, Tell me about the other species. The ones the Council destroyed before we arrived. Luminara's light dimmed with sorrow. The Thaurians were first. 3,000 years ago, they achieved FTL travel and refused Council oversight. Zector ordered their homeworlds sterilized. 15 billion dead in a single day. The Morothi were next, 2,000 years ago. They resisted peacefully, no violence, just refusal to submit. Krelinoth used a telepathic weapon that drove their entire species insane. Then there were the Stop, Marcus said, his voice rough. He felt sick. How many? 47 species completely destroyed. Another 112 conquered and subjugated, all in the name of galactic order. The bridge fell silent. Everyone there had known the Council was oppressive, but hearing the full scale of their crimes was overwhelming. And you helped them, Marcus said. I did, Luminara admitted. For thousands of years, I told myself it was necessary, that we were preventing chaos, that younger species needed firm guidance. I was wrong. Sarah Chen showed me that. She stood there, facing death, and she wasn't angry or afraid. She was disappointed that we couldn't be better than what we were. Dr. Lisa Chen, who had been quietly working at a medical station, looked up. "You're the one who said the council does not make these decisions lightly before they killed my sister." Luminar turned to face her. "I am, and I will carry that guilt for the rest of my existence. Your sister was braver than I have been in 10,000 years. She stood up for what was right, knowing it would cost her everything. I'm trying to do the same now, however late it may be." Lisa walked over to Luminar's hologram. For a moment, everyone thought she might attack. Instead, she asked, "Can you help us free the other species? All of them?" "Yes," Luminara said. "That's why I'm here."
Marcus made his decision.
"Welcome to the rebellion, Judge Luminara. We're going to tear down everything you helped build and replace it with something better." "Good," Luminara said, her colors shifting to determined gold. "It's long past time." When news of Luminara's defection reached Concordia Prime, Zictor and Krelanoth reacted with fury. "She's betrayed us," Zictor raged. "After 10 millennia of service, she turns traitor. The Luminian species must be punished," Krelanoth declared telepathically. "We'll make an example of them as we did the Thalrians." But it was already too late for that. Across the galaxy, species were rising up. The Fenric, Solari, Mishka, and dozens of others were actively fighting Council forces. And now, with Luminara's intelligence, the human fleet knew exactly where to strike next. The Council's iron grip was slipping, and everyone in the galaxy was watching to see what came next. Galaxy Council executes human envoy Earth, initiates total retaliation ##. Part 5. The New Order. The Siege of Concordia. Prime began on a quiet morning. If such a thing existed in the eternal darkness of space, Admiral Marcus Webb watched from the bridge of the Retribution as hundreds of ships converged from FTL around the massive station. Human vessels formed the core of the fleet. But they were joined by ships from 40 different species: Fenric destroyers, Solari carriers, Mishka cruisers, and even a contingent of Luminian peacekeepers who had sided with Luminara. "All ships in position, sir," Commander Park reported. "We have Concordia Prime completely surrounded. They can't escape." Inside the station, panic spread through the council chambers. Zector watched the displays showing the enormous fleet outside with growing dread. His mandibles trembled not from age, but from fear. "How many ships?" he asked his tactical officer. "Over 2,000, High Judge. And they're just sitting there waiting. Why don't they attack?" Krelanoth demanded telepathically. The grayskin judge's mental voice was strained. "What game are the humans playing?" Luminara's hologram appeared in the chamber, transmitted from the human fleet. Her crystalline form glowed with steady blue light. "It's not a game," she said quietly. "It's mercy. Something you two never showed to anyone. Traitor." Zector spat. "You've doomed us all." "No," Luminar replied. "I'm giving you a chance. A chance you never gave the Thalrians, or the Marathi, or the 45 other species you destroyed." Another transmission joined hers. Admiral Webb appeared on the screens. "Judges of the Galactic Council," Marcus said, his voice carrying throughout the station. "We have you surrounded. Your fleets are scattered or destroyed. Over 80 species have declared independence from your rule. You have lost. You think we'll surrender to primitives?" Krelanoth's telepathic voice boomed. "We still have weapons. We can still fight." "You can," Marcus agreed. "You can choose to make a final stand, and we'll destroy this station and everyone in it. Or you can choose differently." Zictor's mandibles clicked nervously. "What are you offering, human?" "Nothing," Marcus said simply. "I'm not offering you anything. But I am offering the people of this station something, a choice." Before anyone could respond, Admiral Webb's transmission was suddenly broadcast throughout Concordia Prime. Every screen, every speaker, every communication device carried his message to all 50,000 beings living and working on the station. "People of Concordia Prime," Marcus said, "you've lived under the Council's rule your entire lives. You've been told it was necessary, that it brought order and peace. But the truth is, the Council has been killing, oppressing, and enslaving species for thousands of years. We've broadcast the evidence to your devices. See for yourselves. Files flooded every personal computer on the station, documentation of every atrocity. Every genocide, every species, crushed under the Council's control. In the residential sections, minor species workers who had served the Council for generations stared at their screens in horror. In the military barracks, soldiers questioned orders they had followed without thought. In the administrative offices, bureaucrats realized they'd been part of a system built on oppression. We didn't come here to conquer you, Marcus continued. We came because they murdered our ambassador for daring to say we deserve to be free. We came because tyranny, dressed in fancy words, is still tyranny. We came because Sarah Chen believed in a galaxy where no species ruled over others, and we're going to build that galaxy with or without your help. He paused, letting his words sink in. So here's your choice. You can stand with the Council with beings who have committed genocide 47 times. Or you can stand with us and help create something better. We're not asking you to fight your former leaders. We're just asking you to step aside and let justice happen. The transmission ended. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, in the security sector, an officer named Velkaza Fenric, who had served the Council Guard for 20 years, put down his weapon. I'm done, he said to his squad. I've followed orders my whole life. I won't follow these ones anymore. One by one. His squad members set down their weapons to dot in the military command center. A Solari captain named Sundar looked at the evidence on her screen, then at the order from Zekdar to prepare weapons to fire on the human fleet.
Oh,
She said simply. She shut down her weapons console and walked away. Across Concordia Prime, similar scenes played out. Workers left their posts. Soldiers abandoned their stations. The minor species who had been the Council's servants for millennia finally had enough. Within an hour, only the Council's true loyalists remained at their posts, less than 1,000. Beings out of 50,000, in the Council chamber. Zektor watched his empire crumble around him in real time. This is impossible, he whispered. We ruled for 10,000 years. We brought order to chaos. You brought tyranny, a voice interrupted. Zektor spun to see Felanak, the Fenric ambassador who had defected weeks ago, walking into the chamber. Behind him came hundreds of beings, representatives of all the species who had lived under Council control. We're here for you, Felanak said simply. Not the humans. Us. The people you claim to guide. The people you treated as servants and tools. We're the ones arresting you. You have no authority. Krelenov's telepathic command tried to press down on their minds. But Dr. Tanaka's neural disruptor, now installed throughout the station, scrambled his powers. We have all the authority we need, Felanak said. The authority of people who are done being ruled by murderers. Zektor tried to run, but there was nowhere to go. Within minutes, he and Krelenoth were in restraints, surrounded by former subjects who no longer feared them. 6 months later, the landscape of the galaxy had completely changed. The Galactic Council was dissolved. In its place stood the Galactic Assemblia Democratic Organization, where every species, regardless of size or age, had an equal vote. Representatives were elected by their people, not appointed by force. Judge Luminara, having publicly confessed her crimes and asked for forgiveness, now served as an advisor to the Assembly. She worked tirelessly to make amends, helping liberated species rebuild their societies. Zekdar and Krelenoth faced trial for crimes against sapient life. The evidence was overwhelming. They would spend the rest of their long lives in custody, living proof that even the most powerful beings could be held accountable. On Earth, a monument was built in Geneva, where the United Earth Government had its headquarters. It showed Sarah Chen standing tall, her hand extended in greeting, the greeting the Council had rejected. Around the base were inscribed the names of every species that had been destroyed by the Council, so they would never be forgotten. And on this day, 6 months after Sarah's execution, Her sister, Dr. Lisa Chen, prepared for the most important moment of her life. She stood in the new Galactic Assembly Hall, built on the ruins of the old council chamber. Representatives from 237 species filled the seats-free species. No longer divided into major and minor, Lisa wore her Earth diplomatic uniform, the same style Sarah had worn. Over her heart was a small holographic pin showing her sister's face. Representatives of the Galactic Assembly, Lisa began, her voice steady and clear. 6 months ago, my sister stood where I stand now. She came with open hands and an open heart. She asked only that humanity be treated as equals. For that, she was murdered. The assembly was completely silent. The beings who ordered her death did it to send a message. They wanted to show the galaxy what happened to those who refused to submit. But their message backfired. Instead of intimidating us, they united us. Instead of making us afraid, they made us determined. Lisa looked around the chamber, making eye contact with beings from dozens of species. My sister believed in a galaxy where no species ruled over others, where strength was measured not by how many you conquered, but by how many you helped, where the powerful protected the weak instead of exploiting them. She died for that belief. Lisa's voice grew stronger. But we're not here today to mourn her death. We're here to celebrate what her death created, this assembly. This gathering of free species, meeting as equals. This is Sarah's legacy. This is what she died for. She paused, then continued. I'm honored to serve as Earth's ambassador to this assembly. I promise to uphold the values my sister believed in. I promise to fight for every species' right to govern themselves. I promise that humanity will never become the kind of power the Council was. Lisa placed her hand over her heart, over the image of her sister, and Sarah's final words. She said, "You have no idea what you've just done." She was right. The Council didn't know they were lighting a fire that would burn away 10,000 years of tyranny. They didn't know they were creating a martyr who would inspire a galaxy. They didn't know that by killing one human, they would unite billions. The assembly erupted in applause not just from humans, but from every species present. Admiral Marcus Webb, watching from the visitors' gallery in his full-dress uniform, felt tears on his face. Next to him, Commander Park smiled through her own tears. She would have been proud, Park whispered. Yeah, Marcus agreed. She really would have. That evening, Lisa stood alone at the memorial wall where Sarah's name was inscribed, along with the victims of the Council's tyranny. She placed her hand on her sister's name. We did it, Sarah, she said softly. We made your dream real. The galaxy is free now. All of it. The stars outside shone steady and bright, millions of worlds, trillions of beings. All living in a galaxy where freedom was no longer a dream but a right, Sarah. Chen had been executed for standing up to tyranny, but in dying. She had killed that tyranny forever, and the galaxy would never forget the woman who refused to kneel, even when facing death. Phew, Lisa whispered to her sister's memory. Thank you for showing us how to be brave. Assembly would continue its work tomorrow. Species would disagree and debate and struggle to find common ground. Democracy was messy and difficult, but it was also free, and that made all the difference. The end.